What I really want to know right now, Alex, is how's my hair?
I'm going to Hollywood, man, and this hair is going to get me paid and laid.
We just wash the hair. You know, I work on my hair a long time, and you hit it.
Before we even get to it, speaking of gratitude, shout out to Justin Silver, retired from the podcast to work on a dog training web series. But that's his drop. So a little gratitude to Justin if you're listening and asking for someone's paw, which I imagine that you're doing right now. Alex, how's my hair?
Mike, I think your hair looks great today.
Thank you.
I like what's happening in the front. You got a couple waves going on, but they're all headed in the same direction ultimately. I like that. I also really appreciate the way that your grays come in. It's a really nice salt and pepper look. Mm-hmm. I respect it. I think it looks great today.
Would the name Clooney come to mind? Are you one George Clooney?
Now that you said it, I think, it's there. I see it.
It's there.
It's there.
Well, he has a couple more $1 billion than I have, even though this is the fastest rising podcast on the Gas Digital Network. And does it probably intimidate Clooney? Yes, it does. But I find that if you have gray hair and you have money, you're distinguished. If you have gray hair and you're poor, you're creepy. Your thoughts?
How poor are we talking?
Well, I don't know. I can provide for myself right now, even though we're in a pandemic and thousands have lost their jobs. Thank God we still have a studio to perform in. I don't know what I would do without this place.
Yeah, Mike, I think that puts you on the rich side of the line there.
Well, if you're talking about the world income, yes, I'm in the top.
So I don't think you need to be so worried about how poor guys with gray hair come off. You're just not even in that demographic.
Alex, you're just boosting my self-esteem right now. I think you come from a place of gratitude, and then you're transferring that energy to me, and I'm skyrocketing. I'm having an emotional erection right now. I don't know if that's a thing in the spirit world, but I'm emotionally hard.
I could actually feel how emotionally hard you are from across the table.
Is it off-putting?
No.
Is it off? Because you caused it. You caused my emotional erection.
I want to get Shannon emotionally wet now.
Please,
Shannon, can you get emotionally wet?
I think we're going to find out today.
Okay. Well, this is a lot of this is an estrogen-heavy podcast today, and it's a lot of females. But females also have testosterone. You guys also have that.
A little smidge, yeah.
Little smidge. Yeah. But estrogen is really heavy. And I want to talk about your hair for a second. Can we talk about it?
Yeah. How is my hair?
I love it. I got to be honest with you. It's long, first of all, and you don't see that now. Everyone's going for a short haircut. Everyone's good. I'm short. I'm sophisticated. You are letting it. I don't know if you're letting it grow out or that's a style preference, but it looks very old school. It looks. It reminds me of maybe a Rapunzel, where you're in a tower. People don't want to let you out of that tower because you're so charismatic, and they're afraid of you, so they lock you in a tower. Does it stop you? It doesn't stop you. You throw it on your hair, and you let several gentlemen callers climb up there and then have their way with you. I don't know if that's how it ended. But that's the vibe that I'm getting. How do you feel? What's going on underneath the hair?
I really appreciate that. I am going for growing it out as long as it could possibly be. As a baby, my hair didn't grow as fast as other kids. So by the time I got to kindergarten, I had this short boy's haircut.
Right.
And I was super duper jealous of all the other girls in class who had long hair. I just wanted to be one of the long hair girls.
Right.
So,
super duper, you mentioned.
Yeah, it was super duper.
And I don't hear that in this day and age. I hear super, and then I hear you go to the next, thing. But super duper is very Brady Bunch, and I appreciate that.
I don't know where it came from. It just flowed out of me.
It's flowing, and it's a female-centered episode, so a lot of stuff will be flowing out of us today. Because that's feminism. That's feminism. It's flowing out. So you grew your hair long out of spite for the long-haired people. I'm no short-haired bitch.
Exactly.
If you were in a video, you'd be like, I ain't no short-haired bitch. If you were like the Cash Me Outside girl.
Yeah.
That's how you. So you grew it out of that long hair is basically out of spite.
That's right.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And once you were a long-haired girl, did you, like, what did you do? Did you snap on them? Like, look who's got long hair today. Look who's got long hair and knows the alphabet. I imagine that you were young and still learning the alphabet. And look who knows their shapes. Were you cocky? Because you're very smart.
I don't think I got cocky about it. I think I just felt like I was more like allowed to be friends with the long-haired girls. Like I
Yes.
felt very separated from these long-haired girls. Like I
Right.
shouldn't be allowed to be in this group of pretty long-haired girls with my
Right.
short-ass boy hair.
Right. But I was wondering if you did something sinister, like maybe when they were taking a nap, which nap time is a thing, and when the schools were open. But the kids take a nap, and then maybe you cut their hair. You cut their hair off with your left-handed scissors.
I've never cut a girl's hair off.
No.
I've never put gum in a girl's hair. I've thought about it.
Well, I've never thought about the gum thing until you mentioned it, so apparently you have thought about it. Look, Alex, I appreciate you being on the podcast, but there's an investigative journalist side to this podcast, and I have to ask the tough questions.
Okay.
Now, you slipped up there. You said you've never thought about putting gum in a girl's hair, and I didn't even bring that up. You brought it up. Apparently, you've thought about it. Shannon, what do you think about that? Is that something, or am I crazy?
I think it may have crossed her mind before.
It did cross her mind, and she's not being completely honest with the no disrespect fans.
You know
And
what it is?
our fans are not the... Alex, let me tell you something about our fans. GED, they probably can't spell it, okay? No, they don't have any extra education or anything. They barely can find the fucking front door in the morning, to be quite honest with you. But what they do demand is honesty.
Well, I brought it up because I think that was my worst fear more than having my hair cut, was having gum put in my hair, because that hurts more. It forces you to have to cut it yourself,
Right.
which is the last thing you want to do.
Well, that's not a problem for me. I'm glad you brought that up because I cut my own hair myself. And no one has to put gum in it. I just naturally know how to do it. And there's a self-haircut community out there, and a lot of them are our listeners. So Alex framed it like, oh, you have to put gum in your hair, and then you have to cut it out, and that's a bad thing. Meanwhile, we're all cutting our own hair self-sufficiently for years and years. It's kind of a thing where it's like, and you'll understand this as a woman, and maybe Shannon will, we've taken the power back. We don't need anybody to put gum in our hair for us to cut our own hair.
You're going to be
Alex.
shocked to find out that for a little over a month now, I'm part of this community. I've become part of this
Now,
community.
how deep are you in the community? Are you just cutting your split ends and you're trying to immerse yourself in our community, or are you giving yourself a real cut?
So I'm not giving myself a real cut. The reason I've joined your community is because I don't trust hairdressers. Mike, they see me as a blank canvas.
Right.
You see all this hair? They see
Yeah.
me, they're like, I could do whatever I want to that hair.
Oh my God, that's so arrogant, and it requires consent. Because consent is a big part of this podcast, and we encourage it, and it's the law, actually, now. So a hairdresser cannot just walk up to you and go, you're a blank slate. You know, I can do whatever I want to you. It's like, that's totalitarianism. You know, that's like Hitler.
Exactly. And they promise me, I go in there, they promise me they're not going to take more than an inch off. And they
Right.
tell me they're not taking more than an inch off. And I look down at the floor and there's 3 inches of hair on the ground.
Oh my God.
Like,
What the fuck?
they've
And
lost
that's-
my trust.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a big lie to tell, like 1 inch to 3 inches. If anything, I know that as a man. The 1 inch to 3 inch lie never bodes well. And so you've lost trust. I thought it was like, I thought you were being homophobic for a second, but no, it's not about that. It's about trust. You don't care about the sexuality of the person cutting your hair. And I mentioned Hitler. I'm kind of moving fast because I'm on a double dose of coffee and bath salts. And do you think Hitler would be a good barber? Do you think he would be a good barber? Because I think for a cut like mine, everything would be equal on all the sides.
I think if there's one thing that Hitler kind of had right, it was like the fashion sense. Like he really dressed his men well.
Yeah.
I do think he might be an okay barber. His creative side would come out. you know?
Right. He
Yeah.
was a painter, and but I'm talking about like the equidistant, and I've used that in 2 podcasts in a row, Shannon, and we've had our fans comment on that. But I think that it would be geometrically would be a good haircut. But
Right.
if you look at good and evil, like Hitler, very evil, Jesus, long, flowing, beautiful hair like yours. Is there something in that?
I don't
Is
know.
long, flowing hair good and like my kind of hair bad?
I don't know. Jesus definitely gives me a much less symmetrical vibe than Hitler. Do you know what I mean? Like the symmetry isn't there with Jesus. So I see what you're saying.
Right.
Like
Here's Hitler.
Okay. Yeah, you see what I'm talking about. I mean, it's not as short. More of his troops had like the short cut, but yeah, it's like geometrically. Plus, he's got that comb. It's not a comb over, is it, Shannon?
It's kind of like a Mike Feeney swoop.
A Mike Feeney swoop. We're comparing Mike Feeney to Hitler at this point in the podcast, and we've kind of spiraled out of control because Mike Feeney's a good person. He's a good person.